All right, today we're going to talk about autonomous technology and its potential to transform the freight industry. The outline for today's presentation is right here. We're going to talk about the technology description, enablers and inhibitors, SWOT analysis, the future evolution of this technology, examples of the technology in use today, anticipated evolution for those specific examples that we're going to present, as well as a slide for references. The technology we're looking at is a combination of hardware and software that has the ability to understand environmental surroundings and make decisions in regards to direction and course, speed, acceleration and braking, and efficiency and safety. And this applies for everything in the freight industry, from on-highway trucking to shipping on seas, as well as air transportation.
We're now going to talk about the enablers and inhibitors with this technology in the freight industry. We'll start with the enablers. We have seen a tremendous amount of innovation over the past several decades. Between the internet, smartphones, camera technology, new sensors, the Internet of Things, and many more, we've seen advanced technology applied in many ways in many applications. This is just another one of those use cases. Because this technology is already out there and in use, the cost involved in developing it is much cheaper than it would be otherwise. There are thousands of different software libraries available to draw on to get the software right, and there are many different versions of cameras and sensors already in mass production, which should keep the cost down. Next, the availability of capital to fund these ventures is already out there. Disrupting industries has become a theme that investors want to be a part of. The successors of Amazon, Netflix, Airbnb, Uber, and Google have incentivized investors to jump in early. Last, many large companies are already putting their weight behind this technology. They see the value in it and have the resources to continue to invest in it, knowing that it will take several years to become mainstream. On to inhibitors. By far, the biggest inhibitor is bringing all the stakeholders together and determining what the standards and laws need to be in order to have this managed safely and efficiently. Things like accident liability and testing standards need to be established before this goes mainstream. This is a particular challenge because you have so many stakeholders and there needs to be consensus at the local, state, national, and worldwide scales. The next major roadblock is public perception. Today, people don't trust computers to operate autonomously. They're just not used to it and are skeptical that they can do it successfully. Since lawmaking requires at least some buy-in from the public, this may create issues for policymakers. Now we'll move on to the SWOT with Lisa.
Let's take a look at the SWOT analysis. First, we will focus on the areas of strength, which include safer transportation, workforce enhancements, and delivery efficiencies. Most accidents are caused by human error, such as driver fatigue, untreated sleep apnea, and just plain lack of attention. With this new technology, we could save up to tens of thousands of lives every year and have safer transportation by air, land, and sea. The freight industry is currently plagued with worker shortages. The trucking industry estimates a shortage of 20,000 drivers in the next few years. This technology would require less human labor, both in number and in skill. Delivery efficiencies. Vehicle utilization can be increased in several ways. Truck drivers would no longer be limited on the number of hours they can drive each day. In the trucking industry, using a method called platooning could help reduce wear and tear on trucks and reduce fuel consumption as much as 5 to 10%. Now, moving on to weaknesses. We look at liability, immature technology, and expense to implement. What if the technology fails? This is a huge liability, and we need to make sure there are fail-safe measures in place. This would require extensive testing protocols and strict safety requirements. The question becomes, who is responsible for those accidents resulting from the technology failures? Is it the manufacturer, the programmer, the Department of Transportation? And while there have been rapid advancements in the technology, it is still pretty immature. Extensive testing can be costly and lengthy. Definitely a big concern with the expense to implement. Added infrastructure will be needed to support the technology along with regulations. Now let's move on to opportunities. Cost savings, environmental, and innovative solutions. So solving the workforce shortage requiring less skilled workers and productivity leverages will result in significant cost savings. Less accidents mean lower insurance premiums. And let's not forget the most intangible benefit is the reduced liability for the loss of life. Autonomous vehicles also impact the environment as they are more efficient and more can be done with less. With these increased efficiencies, the number of vehicles are reduced, resulting in fuel savings and emission reductions. Innovative solutions. This technology allows for new business models to emerge. Delivery trucks paired with drones for package delivery allows for more packages to be delivered in less time and for less cost through optimization of truck routes. These innovations will certainly contribute to the significant economic growth. Moving on to threats, we look at hacking, public perception, and legislation and regulation. Hacking is a very real concern with any technology. If this technology is hacked, it could lead to accidents and possibly death, work stoppages, loss or theft of goods, which could be detrimental to the freight industry. Public perception. Consumer acceptance and overcoming public resistance will be a challenge. Job elimination will definitely be a threat, which could result in smaller trucking and shipping companies ceasing to exist any longer. Smaller companies make up 90% of the trucking industry today and already operate on razor-thin margins. Legislation and regulations. With goods being moved throughout the world, legislation and collaboration between governments will be critical. There are definitely some significant challenges surrounding government regulations, and if they are not careful, it could cause significant delays, which would impact the economy. Next, we will move on to future evolution.
Future evolution for this technology in the short term is going to incrementally enhance human abilities in freight transportation, such as in the example that will be mentioned a little bit later for freight trucking and shipping and in some other areas. But eventually it's going to lead to no driver for any land, sea, or air freight transportation. Information of entire fleets of trucks, vessels, and drones can be fed remotely to company hubs where you just have a minimal staff to monitor the issues and everything that's going on with the freight. Unresolved issues, obviously, are regulations and a lot of consumer acceptance. These things are just kind of laying out there. The technology is developing rapidly, and these things need to be resolved. Suggested improvements actually address those unresolved issues. We believe that better PR campaigns need to address the regulatory requirements and the public perception of the technology as far as liability, reliability, and things of that nature in order to make this technology really viable. The consumers have to buy into the technology and the safety itself.
Our first example of this technology is autonomous trucks. The technology described is used to remove the decision-making process from the drivers. This will be a gradual process where more and more responsibility is removed from the human and passed on to software. There are a number of different companies involved in implementing this right now. A few of the notable ones are Otto, which was recently purchased by Uber. They actually just performed their first delivery, which included a 120-mile drive from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs, fully automated. A couple other major players are Freightliner and Daimler. And finally, Bendix has been heavily involved in creating the software required to control the autonomous trucks. There's also many other companies involved right now in creating autonomous cars, and they have a lot of parallels in the technology that they use. Some of the benefits of autonomous trucks are, first off, safety. 90% of all accidents are caused by human failure. The autonomous technology does not get tired, it does not turn off, and does not get distracted. We should see a dramatic decrease in accidents as this gets adopted. Next, vehicle utilization should increase. Autonomous trucks can drive farther without a brake. Its route can be dynamically optimized based on traffic patterns and weather. And a truck should also be able to achieve better fuel economy than when a human is driving. Next, autonomous trucks should address many of the personnel problems that exist in today's trucking industry. Currently, there's a shortage of drivers. This technology will lower the skill set required to drive, as well as improve the attractiveness of the job itself. By combining all of these benefits, you will get what companies truly are interested in: cost savings. With better safety, increased utilization, and a higher supply of workers, companies should see their freight costs drop dramatically. Now I will pass it on to Bill for our second example.
The second real-world example we're going to talk about is drone home delivery. There's a company out of Cincinnati, Ohio. It's actually called Workhorse, and they have what they call a horsefly that actually does drone home delivery. It's an autonomous octocopter paired with a delivery van. The octocopter takes flight from the van to deliver a package to an outlying home specified by the driver. It autonomously finds the van and redocks after the package has been dropped off. Once the drone reaches the location of the home where the package is to be dropped off, a remote user is notified and a human interface actually drops the package off at a safe location. The business experience for Workhorse has been very positive. There's been some serious cost benefits as well as free PR and some good news stories. The benefits that received are, as far as costs, are definitely impressive. The cost to operate the Octocop there is actually only 3 cents a mile. Traditional delivery van that gets 17 miles a gallon, even when gas is $2 per gallon, is about 12 cents a mile in cost. Use of this Octocopter cuts down on wasted fuel and time. Outlying locations can be serviced by drone. Maintain the most efficient delivery vehicle path because the vehicle doesn't have to go to one house that's 3 miles outside of the normal loop. They can just send the drone there. It also reduces time spent not delivering packages. If the driver's having to drive to those outlying locations, it's time on the road that he's not delivering packages. And again, as I mentioned, they're getting a lot of free press. This delivery model is getting a lot of attention right now. And the FAA regulations and exemption statement actually lists this particular use of drones as a high priority project. And Workhorse is one of the first ones in the industry to be doing this, specifically with van delivery. The future of drone home delivery is going to be very impressive. The drones are going to continue to become cheaper and more capable. Delivery vehicles will be able to carry multiple drones, and the drones could eventually leave from distribution centers and not even need a van. The cost per delivery is going to drop again, as we mentioned, that 3 cents per mile as compared to 12 cents per mile. New algorithms are going to optimize drone and van interaction. What I mean by that is when FedEx came out with the algorithms to develop the most efficient path for a van, new algorithms are going to come out and take into consideration the package weight and the drone capacity and sending the drones out to the locations that make the most sense so that the van can maintain the most efficient path. And again, that's going to reduce time and cost, and it's going to increase the delivery speed.
Please find attached our references.